right, next up, Jacksonville Jaguars. Man, I love all the stories across every single team, but because of the move they made to go get Travis Hunter, James Gladstone comes in as general manager. Liam Coen comes in as head coach. Another year trying to figure out if Trevor Lawrence can do it. Is he the guy? The Jags end up becoming one of the more interesting storylines across the league, coming off a 4-13 season, and the narrative didn't go as planned. It was pretty clean for a while. Doug Peterson comes in, solves the mess that Urban Meyer made. Trevor Lawrence flips a switch. Before you know it, okay, we've got our franchise quarterback. He might not be the next Peyton Manning. That's okay. He's still really good, and he's leading them to the playoffs, and they made it to the Final Eight just a few years ago. They carried that momentum into the 2023 season, battling for the number one seed about halfway through that season, and then it's all fallen apart since that point between injuries for Trevor Lawrence, both in 23 and in 24, and just overall bad play. This has been a bad football team for the last year and a half, but new regime, new everything, influx of talent at receiver the last 2 years between Brian Thomas Jr. and what Travis Hunter brings to the table. So the Jags, intriguing this year. What are you looking for?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of pressure on Trevor Lawrence because, he's now getting that, well, okay, we fixed everything around you. Now's the time for you to show it. He's also kind of got the decent contract already. So he's, I think, under significant justified pressure to say, you're getting paid like you're the guy. You now need to be the guy. But I think the pieces are there for that to happen. I mean, this is now a really intriguing receiving core. Brian Thomas Jr. could be an absolute superstar. I mean, he could be a guy that propels himself into that top category of wide receivers, not just a dynamic deep threat, a big play guy, a guy that can do everything and be one of the best receivers in the NFL. Travis Hunter only has to be a number 2, and he was, I think, the best wide receiver in this draft class. De'Ami Brown is a third guy. They have weapons to work with. The backfield is explosive as well. The offensive line isn't great, but I don't think it's bad enough that it should be dragging down the entire offense overall. And in Liam Coen, you've got a guy with experience of maximizing some quarterbacks, and quarterbacks that weren't necessarily like the best quarterbacks in the NFL, guys that needed a little bit of a, training wheels type of reclamation project. So it's a really interesting situation, but one I think that justifiably puts the onus on Trevor Lawrence to say, you should be good this year.
In football, we always like to look for this A-B analysis when it comes to quarterbacks and their coaches. When the quarterback was with this coach, he got good results. When he was with this coach, he got bad results. Therefore, blame the coach or the quarterback or whoever was the driver. Liam Coen, I believe at this point, has elevated every quarterback. The Baker Mayfield thing is tricky because he's had a million different coordinators, right, and he was good under both Dave Canales in 2023 and Liam Coen last year. And they both of his last two coordinators, Baker, got head coaching jobs. But I don't think Baker Mayfield's some head coach maker, right? That's not his history. But we've seen Liam Coen get the best year out of Will Levis in Kentucky. He has his roots in Sean McVay's system. And last year was Baker's best statistical season. So Liam Cohen's got a pretty good track record of elevating quarterbacks, getting good results there. And you got to do it with Trevor Lawrence now.
That's the other fascinating thing, though, is that not only has Liam Coen kind of gotten the best out of, a variety of different quarterbacks, he's also gotten the best out of what I would say are all kind of mercurial quarterbacks. They're all inconsistent, volatile guys that have been big swings up or down type of quarterbacks, right? Like he's gotten by far the best version of Will Levis, who then came to the NFL and couldn't do any of that stuff. Baker Mayfield has had disastrous seasons. He's had pretty fantastic seasons. He's gotten the best out of him. Was Matthew Stafford, was that the first year of Stafford?
He was there with Stafford, yeah.
I mean, Stafford, remember, for most of his career, we were talking about Stafford as more talented than he was sort of, not productive because he had big numbers, but like the quote-unquote talent or upside or ceiling or whatever everyone said was existing within Matthew Stafford was always more theoretical than practical until he got to the Rams. And then suddenly everything came into place and he was the guy that took them to a new level and was better than Jared Goff. But so he's gotten the best out of not just all of the quarterbacks, but all of these quarterbacks were all sort of high variance, volatile guys who had been seen as having these kind of critical flaws that were holding them back. This is all in the same area as Trevor Lawrence has been so far.
Just to touch on Trevor Lawrence really quick, I always hated this guy's Andrew Luck, this guy's Peyton Manning, this guy's whoever. The whole point there is this guy has enough tools to become one of the best quarterbacks, whether he does or not. But I did, when he came out, thought, hey, if he had a similar career to Andrew Luck, I wouldn't be all that surprised. And if you're using PFF grades to look at Andrew Luck, he was like a high 70s PFF graded quarterback for a while with some high-end plays, but some volatility to his game. I think there was a lot of pressure on Luck the way the scheme was set up for him. So maybe the grades never really did him justice, and he was better than that. But Trevor Lawrence, since his rough rookie season, which rookies have, he's been a high 70s PFF graded quarterback. And if his career was going to coincide with Luck, it was right around year 5 or 6. Luck had a bad injury-riddled 2015 season. It was awful. He played actually his worst football. And then it was 2016, year 5. That was his big year. He's 90-plus over his next 2 full seasons, which included an injury in the middle of that. I'm not. We always look for patterns, right? I'm not predicting that exactly. But I think Lawrence has that in him. I think he has the high-end play in him. He's got to cut down on his inconsistency, both game to game, throw for throw. Sometimes he's got the late game magic. Sometimes he's making boneheaded decisions. But I think Lawrence has the ability, with the system of Liam Coen's system coming in, and the 1-2 punch of Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter, to now have his best season.
He absolutely does. So those are the two potential things. And that comp to Luck is interesting. But number one, Luck eventually did put it all together and became the sort of the elite version of the quarterback that he was always supposed to be. In the same way that, John Elway at the end of his career got the validation with the Super Bowls, right? Andrew Luck eventually put together these 90-plus grade PFF years, and it's like, there he is. He's finally become that full realization of the most talented quarterback since. Yeah, then he retired. The other difference, though, is that I think Luck's reputation, or the sort of the opinion people had on Andrew Luck, was always higher because he always seemed to have that late game magic, the rescue, pull it out of the fire thing throughout his entire career. Now, how many of those fires that he pulled it out of did he start himself? Sure, but people don't care about that. As long as you put out the fire, nobody cares who started it, right? The problem is Lawrence has not consistently done that in the NFL. If he'd been exactly the same quarterback in terms of overall level and general performance, but every time late in the game he pulled it out of the fire, I think people would say already he's Andrew Luck. Don't worry about the overall number or this, percentage point or this rate stat or the turnover that he plays. He's money when the game's on the line. Because he hasn't consistently done that, I think there's a difference in perception between where he is right now and where Andrew Luck was at the same point in his career, even if I think I probably agree with you that functionally it's kind of the same.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the comeback, I think leading comebacks is a skill that quarterbacks have, and Luck had that.
It's also wildly noisy.
It's a little noisy. I think they are very good at it. I think there are certain quarterbacks that were good at it. Like Phillip Rivers, Aaron Rodgers were not good at it throughout their career, but they were very good quarterbacks. Eli Manning was very good at it. Andrew Luck was good at it. I think the specifically aggressive quarterbacks who know how to play the situation are better at it over time. And we've only seen that in snippets from Lawrence. Hey guys, real quick, only 40% of our viewers are actually subscribed, so let's change that. Hit that subscribe button, and now let's get back to the action.
But it's don't
get into it too much.
You can be both very good at comebacks, but also it's such a luck-driven situation. Number one, the situation that you're in the first place to have the opportunity. But Tom Brady was clearly throughout his NFL career extremely good at leading comebacks, right? And very good in those situations. It's also true that in the biggest comeback of his entire career, he threw the ball right to a defender on one of the biggest plays of that comeback. It's like that is both blind lucky and amazingly good at the same time.
I'm looking at big picture stuff.
Right.
The other thing that Liam Coen did in Tampa Bay last year was rejuvenate a run game that was awful for a few years. I mean, really, really bad. Little better offensive line, I think, in Tampa Bay than what Jacksonville has. But even no matter where you would rank the Jacksonville offensive line, I think we're in this world where every O-line at the bottom has this, they could rank 20th in this theoretical ranking. They could be not awful. I think the Jags are there. They're not the best run blocking group, but Can Liam Coen get the most out of that? I mean, he did elevate this Bucs group that was having trouble moving the ball for a few years on the ground.
That's a good way of phrasing the question that we never asked Brandon Thorne. Is there a line in the NFL that does not have passably average within their range of outcomes?
I think we're in a like the same thing we talked about at draft time. I think we're in a slightly better world where it used to be obvious, like, oh, the Giants have the worst offensive
like there's
line.
no way that this line can be even
This is clear
average.
as day.
Yeah.
But I think the Jags they're not awful up front. They just don't, like Anton Harrison, who I like in pass protection. He's not the best run blocking option. They don't have a ton of people movers at the line of scrimmage, so I think they're going to have to scheme it up a little bit better. But you mentioned Travis Etienne, his explosiveness. They bring in Bashal Tutin, his explosiveness. Tank Bigsby with his power. They do have a good combination of backs to work with there.
And not just explosiveness, but those two guys in particular are very, wide zone, not dependent, but wide zone specialists. Like both those guys, you can imagine a world where they are running one cut, explosive outside zone runs that go for big distances. Like they're both designed to create chunk plays with those types of run concepts.
Got to talk defense quickly here. The Jags defense regressed hard last year. They played a lot of man coverage. It didn't work. Injuries on the back end didn't help. They've been looking for a consistent pass rush for a while. I know Jags fans, we'll talk about it. I know we'll get into it. Trayvon Walker took a big step forward last year, but I think still there are so many games out there where it feels like Josh Hines-Allen is the only guy getting pressure off the edge. But I do think at this point they've built a whole bunch of different body types. Hines-Allen's difficult to block in his own ways. Trayvon Walker isn't as good snap for snap, but his power and speed to power is difficult to block. And if he takes another step forward in year 4 as a developmental prospect, you have the length of Eric Armstead in there as a guy that you can move around. I think this defensive line has a chance to cause some problems. And again, just the new scheme with similar players might just work wonders for the Jags this year.
Yeah, new scheme, and maybe not this year, but they, I think, probably have a firmer direction now. Whereas before it was like, let's just chase freaky athletes and hope that becomes a plan in and of itself, that those guys become really good as a group. Now I think they should have a much more firm direction in terms of what type of player they want to bring in and what sort of strategy we are shooting for to get better. I don't know if that's going to help it this year, but there's some solid talent along this group. I think that they are still fairly light in some fairly critical situations or some fairly critical spots on the defense. And I think that the offense has a lot more potential to be good than the defense.
And we just let's spend a couple minutes on Travis Hunter and then make our pick over under 7.5 here for the Jags as well per FanDuel. As of right now in training camp, Travis Hunter is saying he's a two-way player.
Right.
He is saying I'm playing receiver and corner just like I did at Colorado. The beat writers in Jacksonville are keeping track, and it's about 50-50 at this point. Travis Hunter, the cornerback and the receiver, can he actually do it? And what does he bring to the defense? And what does he bring to the offense as a player?
It's going to be such an interesting thing to watch. Number one, can he do it? Number two, what are the challenges in doing that at the NFL level that are not necessarily there at the college level? Like, we talked a lot about kind of some of the benefits or some of the advantages he has at the NFL level relative to college. Like, he doesn't have to be a student anymore, right? He can actually be a full-time football player, which theoretically is a bunch of time he didn't have to dedicate to both sides of the ball in college. So you can look at it and say, in one way, it's going to be a lot easier to try and be a two-way player at the NFL level. The flip side of that is, I think NFL schemes, coaches, teams are light years better than college teams in terms of being able to actually attack a weakness, right? Like, they will have a much better idea of, okay, if they're actually trying to do this, what is the single thing we can do without screwing up anything else to really ruin Travis Hunter throughout a game, right? How can we just run him deep multiple times, take him out of the game, have him incredibly tired so that whether or not he goes back on offense or not, like, we're just maximizing his misery during the course of a game without having to screw up different plays. Like, the backside of any concept is going to be a go route on Travis Hunter.
I mean, the other aspect of this, if you hear the 33rd team's own Rondé Barber at various points has talked about Travis Hunter, the corner, who he was like, doesn't have the best technique in the world. The guy's just so good instinctually and just playing football.
Yeah.
At what point does that get exploited with route concepts, with various things that he was so good at Colorado, but the number of things that you need to be prepared for at the NFL level.
And the
so
physicality.
not just the fatigue level, the physicality, the preparation level, and they had somebody specifically designed to make sure, during TV timeouts, like, hey, man, here are the adjustments we're making. You were out there playing offense. Here's what we're doing on defense in 2 minutes. It is.
And there's so many challenges.
Like unique challenges.
Yeah.
I urge everybody, fans, to enjoy this, though, right? Last year, because fan bases want their guy to win a Heisman, it's like, oh, the guy's only who cares if he plays 1,400 snaps? This is an awesome story. This is a fun story. We should enjoy it. I don't know if it ends up working out or if it works out better on one side than the other, but we should enjoy trying to see what Travis Hunter can do here.
And all these things we're talking about, like, these are why it was Heisman Trophy worthy, right? These are why reducing it to snap count is just an idiotic way of thinking about it. Like, the fact that he had to try and play one side of the ball with somebody giving him like a brain dump of info in 5 seconds before he went out there, whereas the other guys are, sitting there recovering, listening to the info, taking it in. Like, these are the reasons it's incredible what he did, because it's so insanely difficult. It's so beyond what anybody else is doing. But these are all ways that the NFL can make it harder than the college game did.
Last thing I'll say, I do wonder if the Jags have to play more zone coverage because of it. 2 things. Travis Hunter's awesome with his eyes on the quarterback, making plays on the ball. That's where his ball skills show up. And if that's just easier on his body than running around playing man. Over under 7.5 here for the Jags. Where are you going with that?
I'm going to have to go under just because I've been over too much already.
So I went under on the Colts. I'll go over on the Jags this year. I think they turn it around. I'm a Trevor Lawrence believer, right? Not that he's Peyton Manning. I feel like I always have to preface that, right?
Well, because he was always billed. I mean, Trevor Lawrence suffers in a way because he was always talked about as the best prospect since.
And Caleb Williams is and will in that same regard.
But, the names that he was connected to throughout his entire college career and draft process were Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, even as far back as John Elway. Like, those are the 3 names. And what's fascinating, actually, about all those guys is that every one of them struggled early to a degree, right? Yeah. Like, we talked about the comps with Andrew Luck. Peyton Manning set the record for rookie interceptions, albeit nobody really thought that was a long-term thing for him. It was just, teething problems. That's what you're going to have to go through to be in the NFL. And then, like, the kind of the retrospective on John Elway's career is pretty fascinating and nuanced when you look at what he did throughout his career. So all those guys, like, none of them was just start to finish the best quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, I just believe he'll be good. I think Liam Coen will get the best out of him. So I'm going to take the over here for the Jags, over 7.5.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
Check the Mic is live every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So be sure to hit this subscribe button so you don't miss a thing.
The all-knowing algorithm is convinced that you'll like these videos as well. And frankly, who are we to argue?